We're back at it again with another Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and here's what we have coming up. The Birds getting some great news in the lead up to this game against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday in the wild card round of the playoffs. And you think back to that Week 1 game between the Eagles and the Packers, what has changed for both teams since that Eagles win in Brazil? We're going to go through those changes coming up here in a little while as well. Before we begin, let's go Birds. Are you pumped up for the playoffs? Are you excited for some Eagles playoff football? If that's the case, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. So let's dive into the great news that the Eagles got and Eagles fans received. Philadelphia this afternoon released quarterback Ian Book. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. Chase, who cares? He's QB4 behind Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Tanner McKee. Why does this even matter? Clickbait, the laziest comment in internet history, by the way. Here's why it matters. This is a positive development as it relates to the availability of Hurts for Sunday's game. Because if the Eagles were worried about not having Hurts, they probably wouldn't waive Book because he would be the emergency quarterback. Philadelphia signed him after that Jalen Hurts injury. He was with this team back in 2022, has familiarity with this organization. And reports have indicated that Hurts will play. And so you read the tea leaves here, and you think about where momentum is going. If Jalen Hurts wasn't playing in this game, or if the Eagles had any worries that his availability was in question, they would not release Ian Book. They have an open roster spot right now. There's a possibility that Book comes back to the practice squad just in case. But this is a positive movement in the direction of Hurts playing in this playoff game. This is what Jalen Hurts brings this Philadelphia offense, and this is why it's a huge boost if he can play against Green Bay. He has one of the top deep balls in the NFL, and he's able to hook up on that long ball with two of the top wide receivers in the game in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Hurts' presence in the backfield or under center makes the run game more dangerous because the defense has to think about him keeping it on an RPO or his overall scrambling ability. And when Hurts is playing quarterback, teams cannot load the line of scrimmage against Saquon Barkley. He can also turn garbage into gold with his legs. What I mean by that, when he drops back to throw and there's nothing there, he can make huge plays with his feet. Most importantly, it's winning time. It's playoff time. The pressure cooker is on, and Jalen Hurts, everywhere he's gone, high school, college, now in the pros, he wins. 46-20 in his career. I've been very impressed with how he's responded to the end of last year. People seem to forget that in November of last season, he was the odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP. After Philadelphia beat Buffalo, they got off to that 10-1 start, and I know they lost 6 of their last 7. It was ugly. Hurts didn't play well, but I don't think the play calling did him any favors. I don't think the scheme did him any favors. The play designs didn't do him any favors. And the defensive unit under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia last year was a joke. And so when you compare the numbers for Hurts the last 2 years, completion rate has gone up, yards went down, but he played in fewer games in 2024 than last year when he played every game. Missed 2 this season, pretty much 3 because he got hurt early against Washington, and Saquon Barkley ran for more than 2,000 yards. Touchdown to interception ratio. Last year, Hurts 23-15. This year, 18-5. He needed to clean up the mistakes. He did. Played a little bit more conservative, but that's what the Eagles needed with all of this talent, and he relied on the run game. Yards per attempt up. And despite him playing fewer games, he had more rushing yards this year and 1 fewer touchdown. Since we're talking about the backup quarterback spot, though, and in back-to-back weeks, we saw Kenny Pickett get the start against Dallas, Tanner McKee get the start against New York. Who is the better backup quarterback? And obviously, this question is important because what if Hurts gets hurt? What if he can't play? Who would you rather see under center and in the shotgun for Philadelphia at the quarterback position? Pickett, McKee, let me know. Coming up next here, how things have changed since the Week 1 matchup between Philadelphia and Green Bay. Stay tuned for that. But first, if you want to go to this Eagles-Packers game at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday afternoon and you want to be a part of an incredible environment and experience, download the Game Time app. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. I'll never forget when I went to the 2004 NFC Championship game when the Eagles finally got over the hump, took down the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Vick, and the Eagles were dominant that day. And this atmosphere, knowing how good the Eagles are and the opportunity that's presented to them this season with that opportunity to win a Super Bowl, fans are going to be juiced up. Game time picks. It's an awesome new feature that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so that you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. This isn't just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They also have ticket coverage, so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So we look ahead to Sunday's game. And of course, here on the channel, we've been talking about it all week. We'll continue to talk about it all week because it's playoff time. And as Hugh Douglas once said in the early 2000s, it's do or die, baby. It's do or die. If you remember him saying that with the fro in the Eagles locker room, type me. I know you're a real one. I know you're actually born, unlike Chip. How things have changed between these two teams since week one. We first look back at week one. Birds won 34-29 in Brazil. As a little bit of a refresher for all of you. It's been a few months. Jalen Hurts had 3 first-half turnovers, 2 on the first 2 drives of the game. Saquon, what a debut as he starred, and that was the first indication that we got. Oh my gosh, Howie Roseman did it. He took Saquon Barkley away from the Giants, and all year, New York has been in shambles. Saquon rushing for more than 100 yards, and he had 3 total touchdowns. The wheel route through the air, 2 on the ground. A.J. Brown, great game in the season debut. Went over 100 yards, 67-yard pitch and catch to start the third quarter when he beat Jair Alexander on a stutter go. And the defense, they struggled. They gave up 29 points. They've improved a lot since then. New scheme, a lot of new personnel. But when it mattered, and when this game came down to the wire, the Eagles defense closed the game out late. Jalen Carter had a big play. Zach Bond had a big play. And we didn't know it then, but that was a sign of things to come for the rest of the year. The quarterbacks here, how things have changed, right? That's the topic of this portion of the show. Jalen Hurts, he's coming off a concussion. Jordan Love, also injured. Injured his elbow in Week 18. In Week 1, both of these quarterbacks were healthy. Right now, in totality, the Eagles are the healthier team. Eagles also didn't have Isaiah Rodgers in Week 1. And now they do as one of their top backup cornerbacks. There's also a big injury that we've been talking about this week, and that is the torn ACL to Packers wide receiver Christian Watson. And he averages over 20 yards per catch, very explosive player, 4.3 speed. He can take the top off of the defense, and his mere presence had an impact on the Packers passing game all year. The Packers receiving core without Christian Watson on the field, 1.3 yards per route run. That would rank 13th in the NFL. They had a 2.4% explosive play per route run, which would rank 19th. With Watson on the field, 1.67 yards per route run, that would rank first. 3.7% explosive play per route, that would rank number 1. And so the absence of Christian Watson looms large for this Packers passing game. Jalen Hurts also in the opening week of the season turned it over 3 times in the first half alone. In 14 games since then, he has 7 turnovers, no giveaways since week 11. This Eagles offensive identity, it has changed completely. And yes, Saquon had a really good game in his Eagles debut. Again, ran for over 100 yards, had those 3 touchdowns, but the Eagles also aired it out a lot. Since then, they become the number 2 rushing attack in the NFL, and they run it the most among all teams in the NFL, and that is their identity, built around Saquon and this Eagles' stout offensive line. The Eagles' defense has also improved dramatically since coming out of that Week 5 bye. Best defense in the NFL, number 1 overall defense in the league, and in Week 1, they gave up those 29 points. Eagles had to come back multiple times. The rest advantage in this game also goes to Philadelphia here. Of course, both teams rested in week 1, coming off preseason and training camp. But in week 18, Eagles didn't play any of their starters. The Packers, they did because they were jockeying with Washington for either the 6th seed or the 7th seed. So who you got? Big question of the week. GB for the Packers, PHI for the Eagles. I'm going with the Birds, and I hope you're rocking with me.